Hey guys, it's Nikki, and I am back with I posted yesterday a tutorial on how I make my policy envelopes, and I got an incredible amount of feedback from my viewers and got some new subscribers, and I did want to take a moment just to say thank you for everyone who's subscribed to my channel. I think this morning my count was over 100, which is incredibly amazing to me, and I'm very flattered that you ladies take the time out to watch anything that I post. There are so many more talented ladies out there than I. So I am humbled and very honored that you have chosen to watch my videos, and I do thank you for that. But there was a lot of questions. I got a couple of personal messages, just people wondering, did I find a link to this? Is it a template I found online? And so I wanted to try and address some of those questions, just because I know, when I watch a video and I ask a question, and then it goes unanswered, I'm kind of like, well, that's great. You put yourself out there and people ask, and you should, at least take the time to try and answer them. I know we always can't get back to every single question, but I did want to make an effort. Honestly, I don't have a template per se. I did not find this online. I had watched a mini tutorial that Catherine, who is Catherine Scraps, her YouTube channel is Deschiato. I'm sure a lot of you ladies are familiar with her, but she just did a mini album where she used the Maya Road album to make for her father, her dad, and I wanted to do something similar to that, but I did not have that particular album. So it did utilize some sort of policy envelope, and that is why I sat down and tried to figure this out. So that's where this idea came from. I'm sorry I don't have a link, but I am going to explain how I got these measurements. I will go ahead and tell you up front, if you don't like measuring or basic math, you're probably not going to enjoy this at all. You are going to need a calculator, because it does require, making the envelope once you have the measurements down is fairly simple, but determining those measurements can be a bit tricky. Whenever you start to do this, you can make up to a 4-inch wide envelope with a sheet of 8.5 by 11. That is as big as you can go using these measurements. I'm not sure about a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I haven't, found a reason to make an envelope that big. But I do know that 4 inches wide is as big as you can go for this. So the first thing you want to do is determine how wide you do want your envelope. And whenever I say how wide you want it, it's not the total amount of paper I'm talking about. I'm talking about how wide across you want this section. This is going to be a 4-inch one. I just went as big as I could. That's what I'm going to show you. So once you determine how wide you want your paper, that's where all your measurements are going to be based off of. All your scores and everything is going to be based off the width. So we want a 4-inch wide envelope. So the first thing you're going to do to determine how wide you want your how wide to make your total amount of paper that you use. You're going to take the width of your envelope, which I said is 4, and you're going to multiply that by 3. So I'm just going to write this on here. It's a scratch sheet. So this is my width, the 4, and this is 3. And the reason why you're multiplying it by 3 is because you're going to have two, this side, the center, and this side. So you have 3 panels. So that's why you've multiplied this by 3. The width times 3. Okay. Once you get this amount, which 4 times 3 is 12, then you're going to subtract 2.75 inches. And that is a constant number. It won't change regardless of how big or how small you go. You know, and I'm sure you can go too small where this isn't going to proportionally fit. But this 2.75 doesn't change, and I'll show you why in a moment. So once I've done that, this comes out to 9.25 all the way across. This is 9.25. So I know that's how wide I have to cut my paper. Now, to determine my length, I have to go back to the width of how wide I want my envelope when it's closed, okay, which is 4. And then I'm going to add 2.5, which is a constant number. The reason for that constant number is proportionally you want your envelope to be 2.5 inches longer than the width of it, just to keep it the proper proportions. So that's why it's a constant number. It's never going to change. So you take your width and you add 2.5. Then you're going to add 1.5. This is for the top flap. This flap is always going to be 1.5 inches. And then you're going to add 0.5, which is the bottom flap, and that will always be 0.5. Once you add those numbers together for this, I got 8, which is why 4 inches wide envelope is as big as you can go with an 8.5 by 11. So once you've found these two numbers, then you're ready to cut your paper. Okay, so we've cut our paper. I'm not going to cut another one, but I cut this down 9.25, 9.25 by 8. Okay, now for your score lines, your first score, which is going to be the width, okay, the width sides. You're going to take the width of your envelope, 4 inches for this one, and you're going to subtract 1.5 inches from that. That is going to put you at 2.5 inches for this envelope. It's going to vary, you know, depending on your size. So that's where you make your first score. Now, leaving your paper exactly the way it is. To do your second score, you're going to take your width again, and you're going to subtract 1.25. And the reason these numbers are popping up, this 1.5 and 1.25, you want this flap to be 1.5 inches smaller than your center panel, and you want this flap to be 1.25 inches smaller than this panel, so that it overlaps the first flap and you have that space where you can adhere it together. Okay, so make your first score. Now when you take your width and you subtract 1.25, you're going to go to the end of your scoring board and you're going to go in that many. Like when I've subtracted 1 1/4 from 4, then I got 2.75 inches. So I'm going to go in from the end 2.75 inches, and that's where I know to make my second score. Then you're going to rotate your paper. When you rotate your paper, just to make it simpler, you make your first score a 1/2 inch in. Okay, that's going to be your bottom flap. Then you go to the end and you just go in 1.5 inches. Super simple. And then you just cut out your 4 corners and you assemble your envelope as I showed in the tutorial on how to make it. And for a 4-inch wide envelope, this is what you get. And proportionally, every time you make it using this formula, it's going to be the same. I know there's a lot of math in here, but I hope that you find it useful. You know, and just a quick glimpse, I'll show you. This is the mini album that I came up with using these envelopes, and this just chipboard covers. This I used black cardstock, and this is using envelopes that are 3.5, like I showed in the tutorial that I posted earlier. And then I just made these chipboard file tabs on top of these chipboards. And yeah, so this is the little mini album that I come up with. It's not completed, but this is the basic structure of it. And it's very similar to the one that Maya Road makes. Theirs is a binder though, with binding rings, and I elected to do this sort of binding. So I hope that helps. I hope I didn't confuse you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.